Hi guys, I'm Luke and welcome to my channel. This is my review of the iPhone 13 Pro Max after using it for the past 10 months. Purchased this phone back in October 2021. I've been using it every day since, so here's my thoughts. I'll start with design. The phone is built really well, it feels really robust. It's held up to all the drops and bumps that I've had over the past 10 months. But unlike the traditional YouTuber, just for full disclosure, I do use a case on all my phones because I pay for them myself, and the one I'm using on this one is the Kadabi sheath. So it's really good grip because the phone is massive, so it's good to get a hold of it, and it's protected it a bit more from all those bumps. But the phone itself is built really well, so it has held up good to the bumps and scratches. I also use a screen protector, so the screen is in great condition, again because I pay for the phones myself. One thing to note though about the design, if you're coming from a smaller phone like iPhone 10, 11 or 12, the weight of the phone is quite hefty, so it's just something to bear in mind before you buy it, because it does make an impact when you pick the phone up. Moving on to performance. The performance of the phone has been fantastic. I've never had any slowdowns or lag over the past 10 months. I can carry out my everyday tests such as take pictures, record 4K video, make a phone call, play games, write scripts, and I never see a dip in performance, which is great. The addition of the 120Hz panel has made the whole performance a lot smoother. One big issue though to the performance, which moves me on to display, when the phone gets warm, because of the temperature and the phone trying to perform at a certain level, the display dips dramatically, so the visibility of the screen outdoors is so hard to see. So if you're trying to use navigation or watch any media content, it's really hard to display, so it can be so frustrating. But I can't take anything away from the actual quality of the display. So it's bright, it's vibrant, the back levels are good. When not hot, the visibility is actually really good outdoors and indoors. It's so bright. So moving on to the speakers, they get really loud. They don't distort at whole volumes, which is nice. When listening to podcasts in the shower, I can hear it clearly. Don't need to worry about having to listen to it and not hear what's going on. Never miss a phone call because I can always hear the phone calling because the speakers are nice and loud, and the actual call quality is really good coming out of the speakers. As you can see in this demo, the speakers sound really good, so let's have a take a quick listen. Okay, moving on. Software. So iOS 15 has been good on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I do feel like iOS is missing a couple of things, more geared around this larger phone. So the one-handed mode on the phone is useful for the reaching things at the top of the display, like your control center. But when you're trying to do things like reach the bottom of the display where the emoji button, which is in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, the one-handed mode is just useless. On the likes of Samsung's One UI, the one-handed mode is a true one-handed mode, and you can reach the whole of the screen, the top, the bottom, because it condenses the whole screen. And some of these are a couple of iOS gripes rather than specifics about this phone. Multitasking on split screen, so it's nice to watch a video and make notes underneath it on a notes app. Missing that out from iOS is really frustrating. Hopefully they'll bring that in with iOS 17. The other thing though, I've had just a few more negatives. I've had a couple of bugs on the phone, which has happened quite a few times. In Spotlight search, when I pull the screen down, the keyboard's been taking up the whole screen. I can't replicate this because it happens every now and again. It's a bit random, but when it happens, it's so frustrating because I can't search anything on the screen. I have to restart it. I've had the phone freeze a couple of times. I've had to restart the whole phone. That was quite annoying as well. But as a whole, iOS 15 is good. I like stackable widgets, being able to access more than one widget in location without taking up the whole screen. I love the double tap feature and triple tap feature. So I've got double tap set up to turn the phone off and triple tap for Google Assistant. Google Assistant is way more reliable to me than Siri. You might feel differently, but I just find the results are better when using the search function with it. And as a whole, yeah, it's good. It's reliable, smooth, it's fast. There's only been a couple of bugs, so I can't complain. With iOS 16 on the horizon though, the new display lock screen feature looks good. But yeah, hopefully those bigger features, split screen, put me up to where we want, will come to iOS 17, because it's not coming to 16. Moving on to battery life. So probably the main reason to buy this phone, and the one reason to recommend it over any other, is the battery life. The battery life on this phone can only be described as outstanding. So I can wake up at 6 AM, use the phone all day, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, listen to music, browse the internet, look at social media, and I'll end up going to bed around 11 with about 30 to 40% battery left. That can then see me through about half of the next day, where I'll just then throw it on the wireless charger on my desk. To put it simply, it's the best battery life of any phone I've ever used, and it's genuinely a reason for me to recommend this phone to anyone. The freedom of having no battery anxiety when you go out for a whole day is so refreshing, and it's hard to move away from once you've had that freedom in your pocket. So moving on to camera. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max camera over the past 10 months has been overall a positive experience. Everyday pictures come out with plenty of detail, subjects always come out in focus, shutter speed is instant, so it's great for catching pictures of my kids and my dog. My favourite part is the 3x telephoto lens. It's not the best quality for zooming itself, but for taking portrait pictures, it's amazing. So these pictures you can see on the screen, they're almost DSLR-like quality, and I always trust it when taking one of my family, and that's the lens I use over the standard wide lens. I just think it's got a compression to it, and it looks really good with a bokeh in the background. The ultra-wide lens is really good. I think it's quite a big improvement over the 12 Pro Max actually. It's good for capturing pictures of, say, buildings or landscapes, and I think the distortion has been nailed, so it doesn't look funny around the edges now. A couple of minor gripes about the camera though. I feel like the 13 Pro Max does crush blacks a little bit too much, so the shadows appear darker than they do in real life. On the flip side of that, the HDR can be hit or miss. So if you've got a bright background, your subject can be fine to be blown out, so the face will just be all white, all the same colour, and that could be frustrating. So if you look at this picture of my daughter, because of the window in the background, it's tried to compensate with the HDR, and it's just not worked. But as a whole, getting those gripes out of the way with, the pictures are good and generally consistent. Video on the other hand is fantastic. I find it more reliable than any other phone out there. 4K and HD look really good. I tend to shoot in 4K 30, and as you can see from these test videos, they're grain free, the dynamic range is good, and I can rely on it for quick shots of my family. As for features, cinematic mode, don't find myself using it. I find it a bit of a gimmick, but if you do want to use it, it can be okay. F-stop 7 or 8 if you take it down, but it's not something I use. So overall, the camera's really good, it's reliable, but I'm very interested in seeing what the 48 megapixel rumoured lens coming to the 14 Pro Max is going to bring. So to wrap up and let you know whether this phone is worth it after 10 months or whether you should wait for the 14 Pro Max. If you need a phone now, no hesitation, this phone is amazing, it's worth the price. It offers a great camera experience, the battery can't be beat from any other phone out there. I say any other phone, any other flagship phone out there. The 120Hz screen is really nice, and again, look, good updates for sort of 6 years. You can't go wrong. However, if you're a bit like me and you're into your tech, the price of the phone is basically the same price as the 14 Pro Max that comes out in a couple of weeks. Maybe £100 difference by the rumours that have been going around. If you are into tech and you want the bleeding edge, hold off. Wait for the 14 Pro and Pro Max. And the reason being is because of the upgrade in the camera system with the 48 megapixel lens that's due. But if you're not into tech and you just like a new phone and you're a regular consumer, can't go wrong with 13 Pro Max, and I highly recommend the phone.